What is up, guys? Rick Cacus here, and today we are going to be showcasing the best vendor weapons available for sale this week, which is April 18th to the 25th. Ever since the introduction of the Age of Triumph, vendors now have rotating perks on their weapons. So every week we'll be going in and shouting out the best combinations that you should definitely consider buying before the week ends. And guys, this week is pretty insane. Seriously, I think there's more weapons we cover in this video than any other weekly vendor video I've made, because there are just so many good rolls worth going over. And so let's get started, firstly with the universal vendors, and beginning with the Crucible Quartermaster. Quite a few weapons available to show. Firstly, let's go over the 0-Day Dilemma auto rifle, a high impact auto rifle, the recipient of rather recent buffs. Firstly, we have two decent perks, probably Grenadier being better than Battle Runner, but the main reason we're looking at this gun is braced frame, substantially increasing that stability, and that is going to be quite useful for any auto rifle, frankly. And then we have Third Eye rounding everything off, which is going to let you aim down sights and keep up your radar. Overall, a decent perk, definitely a solid roll you should look at, especially since the Crucible Quartermaster has a bounty for getting 50 auto rifle kills this week. So if you're interested in doing that, you're going to need a solid auto rifle. After that, we have the B29 Party Favor Pulse Rifle. This again has a very solid roll. The Steady Hand IS sight, increasing the stability a little bit, is probably the best sight you're looking for. This is backed up with Outlaw, substantially increasing your reload when you get a precision kill. Next up, we have Perfect Balance, fantastic, increasing your stability. And rounding everything off, we have Rangefinder. You get more range when aiming down sights. So, Outlaw, Perfect Balance, Rangefinder, and the Steady Hand sight, every single one of those is quite good. So this means it's a quite good roll. Moving on from there, we also have a good roll on the Hero Formula Scout Rifle. This is a unique scout rifle because it belongs to the lowest damage but highest rate of fire scout rifle archetype. Not too many weapons in this category. We have some okay perks. We then have Rodeo, which is going to reduce the vertical recoil a little bit. And then we have Braced Frame, again substantially increasing the stability, which is much needed for this archetype. If you can handle the stability, high caliber rounds is going to be good as well. And then lastly, Third Eye, again just a overall decent perk. Alright, now moving on from there, if you thought we were done with the Crucible rolls, nope. We have a pretty solid roll on the Palindrome Hand Cannon. This thing is a scourge in PvP. We have some decent sights, Partial Refund and Mulligan are both okay. Importantly, we have Reinforced Barrel. This is going to substantially increase the range, the most important stat for hand cannons. You really want your range to be as high as possible. And then rounding everything off, we have Luck in the Chamber, which is going to increase the damage substantially of one shot in the magazine, which is overall a pretty decent perk. Now, the problem with this roll is Reinforced. You would much rather have Rifled Barrel. Rifled Barrel is going to, instead of lowering the stability, lower the reload, which is overall so much better. So this is still quite a good roll, and if you're in the market for a good PvP hand cannon, you may want to pick this up. The problem is that the Palindrome with Rifled Barrel was sold for such a long time. You're going to be up against people with better Palindromes that land shots more consistently and have an easier time doing that because they have better stability, because they have, again, Rifled Barrel. So pick this up if you need it, but it may be worth waiting until a different week. Moving on from there, and still continuing with the Crucible Quartermaster, we have a very good 44 Curtain Call shotgun roll. Firstly, we've got Field Choke, increasing the impact and the range, lowering the stability. Stability not that important on shotguns, especially not this archetype. After that, Life Support is quite decent. Heal yourself when your health is low potentially. Replenish is, I don't think, as good as Life Support. And then we have Reinforced Barrel. Again, Rifled Barrel, even for shotguns, would probably be better, but stability isn't as important. So you're going to reach probably the range maximum with Reinforced and Field Choke. And ending everything off, we have Rangefinder. So, Field Choke, increasing the range and impact, two most important stats on a shotgun. After that, Reinforced Barrel, substantially increasing the range. After that, Rangefinder, increasing the range when you aim down sights. Guys, this has got so many good perks. This is an incredibly solid PvP role. Consider picking this up, however, you may want to stick around when we look at the Dead Orbit vendor. He's got a potentially better shotgun for sale. And guys, ending everything off with the Crucible Quartermaster, we have the Anton's Rule Sidearm. Got some decent sights. Cascade and Zen Moment are both pretty average, but importantly, we have the combination of hand-loaded, increasing the range, very important on sidearms, and then Casket Mag, increasing the magazine size, also a very good perk on sidearms, and then Rangefinder, increasing the range when you aim down sights. Very solid perks on this Anton's Rule. Consider picking it up if you don't have a good sidearm. Moving on to the other universal vendor, which is the Vanguard Quartermaster. Firstly, we have a very good roll on the Continental Auto Rifle. We've got some decent perks. Importantly, it's got Steady Hand IS, probably the best sight you're looking for. Following it up, we have Eye of the Storm and Battle Runner, both, frankly not good perks, unfortunately. But then we do have Braced Frame, really increasing that stability, lowering the magazine, which as you can see is nearly 40, so we can definitely take a little bit of a hit. And rounding everything off, we have Hidden Hand, increasing the aim assist, which is definitely going to be overall a solid perk. So Continental, this is going to be in the medium rate of fire archetype for auto rifles. So if you don't like those high damage auto rifles, like with the Crucible Quartermaster, consider picking the Continental up instead. After that, we have a pretty damn good roll on the Parthian Shot Pulse Rifle. This is one of the highest damaging pulse rifles, very rare archetype. This and the Spare Change .25 are the only two pulse rifles in this archetype, and they are capable of killing in only 2 bursts. This roll has firstly Sure Shot, increasing the stability, probably the best sight you're looking for. Then we've got Partial Refund, which is actually pretty decent, and Secret Round, which I absolutely hate. I would definitely recommend not putting on Secret Round. It messes up the DPS it messes up your rate of fire because it takes a little bit of time to shoot that 4th round. It's just overall not a great perk. But then we have Brace Frame. It's the week of Brace Frames. Just so many guns have Brace Frame this week, and it is a very, very good perk, really increasing the stability at a cost of only a few rounds in a magazine. And lastly, we have Rangefinder. Headseeker is going to be the best perk available in this last slot. If this had Headseeker, I'd say it would pretty much be the god roll. Rangefinder overall is going to be good, but not absolutely fantastic. Moving on from there, we have a very solid roll on the Angel's Advocate Scout Rifle. This scout rifle is potentially incredibly powerful in PvP, and the reason being is that it belongs to the Mida multi-tool damage archetype. Kills in 4 headshots, but shoots faster than other scout rifles that also kill in 4 headshots. This week, we've got some pretty lackluster sights, unfortunately. Icarus is okay, Eye of the Storm is pretty lackluster, but importantly, yet again, we've got Braced Frame, which you do really want for this scout rifle. You want to be landing those multiple rapid shots right away, and therefore you're going to need a decent amount of stability. And ending everything off, we have Hidden Hand, just a solid perk overall. So Braced Frame, Hidden Hand, those 2 perks are excellent on this scout rifle, and that's why we're showcasing it today. Moving on, we've got the Teacup Tempest. This has got a pretty cool roll, actually. So we've got firstly, Outlaw and One Man Army. Outlaw is going to be probably the highlight here. Really increase your reload when you get a headshot. This is combined with hand loaded, increasing the range, excellent, and high caliber rounds, increasing the range a little bit, but most importantly causing a substantial amount of flinch. High caliber rounds is one of the best perks you're looking for, period, in sidearms. It's really going to help you win those close range battles when you need to kill your enemy right away. And lastly, we have reactive reload. You get more damage after reloading your sidearms. Sidearms reload very fast, and so reactive reload can be really good with sidearms. And yep, Reactive Reload plus Outlaw is an absolute wombo combo, letting you get that insane reactive reload damage bonus, melt through an enemy with headshots, reload blindingly fast, and engage your next enemy with that damage bonus right away. So really consider this Teacup Tempest for that reason. After that, we have actually potentially the god roll of the Bone Crusher machine gun. This is a really interesting machine gun. It belongs to the absolute highest damage category for machine guns, so you're going to be getting insane damage numbers when you're using this weapon. And this is the best roll I have ever seen it spawn with. Firstly, we have soft ballistics, increasing the range if you want it, but otherwise you can just keep CQB ballistics. After that, we have spray and play, and we have feeding frenzy, which are both going to help your reload, which is very important for a machine gun. So both those perks are actually quite good. Killing frenzy, I think, might be the best of them. And then we have, I told you it was a week of brace frame, we have brace frame yet again, increasing the stability by a much needed margin. The base stability for the Bone Crusher is terrible, so brace frame is really going to help it land those shots. But most importantly, in fact I would say almost more important than brace frame, we're ending it off with counterbalance. Counterbalance is, in my opinion, the best perk you are looking for, period, on machine guns. It eliminates that horizontal recoil, the side-to-side recoil, and makes it almost purely vertical, making it so much easier to control, making it so much easier to land your shots. And with a machine gun, that is absolutely essential. You need to be landing your shots, and counterbalance is going to help you do that and beat out other machine gun users in PvP who don't have that perk. Excellent roll, and I'm even going to pick this up because I've been looking for a Bone Crusher with a decent roll, and this is, again, nigh the god roll. After that, we have another good roll. Like, holy crap, we have so many weapons this week. This disassembly required rocket launcher is quite good. Firstly, we have hard launch, increasing the velocity, lowering the blast radius a little bit. After that, we've got some okay perks, spray and play probably being the better of the two. After that, we have heavy payload, increasing the blast radius, making up for hard launch, and ending everything off, we have grenades and horseshoes, one of the better perks for rocket launchers. Makes it so that you don't actually have to hit your target, it will explode near your target. Alright, now finally moving on to the faction vendors, we are starting with Dead Orbit, with arguably the god roll Extremophile 011 auto rifle. This is again in the medium rate of fire archetype. Firstly, we have Quickdraw IS, allowing you to aim down sights faster, definitely one of the better sights for auto rifles. After that, we have high caliber rounds. Excellent perk, especially with this type of auto rifle. You're going to be spewing so much lead downrange, you want those rounds to be staggering your opponent, and that's going to help make up for your relatively average time to kill. After that, perfect balance, increases the stability, exactly what you want on an auto rifle. And lastly, rounding everything off, we have counterbalance. Again, so good with this type of weapon, eliminating all the horizontal recoil and really helping auto rifles land their consistent headshots. Really consider getting this Extremophile. This is arguably a god roll. Now moving on from there, we have an incredibly solid Last Ditch 001 shotgun. This is again like arguably probably one perk off from being the actual god roll. Now starting us off, we have Field Choke, increasing the range a little bit, which is exactly what you want. And then we have the Last Ditch Wombo combo, because this shotgun can get hand loaded, increases the range, and Hammer Forged, also just increases the range. The combination of these two perks on the Last Ditch will allow it to reach the maximum shotgun range, which is obviously a very good thing. It also belongs to the same damage archetype as the Matador 64. And the last ditch is just a little bit worse than the Matador 64, and that's because it can't get aggressive ballistics, increasing the damage, and also still maintain that maximum range. It just has its normal damage while also getting to the range maximum, but it's just a slight difference. This is the best PvP shotgun available for sale this week, and this is probably the best PvP shotgun that has been available as a vendor sale that I've ever seen. So definitely consider picking this up. The only perk that could potentially be better is the last perk with rangefinder, but final round doing more damage for that last round in the magazine is actually pretty decent as well. Moving on from there, we have the Bitter Edge 010 Snipe Rifle. This is a cool weapon because it has the second highest aim assist of any snipe rifle in Destiny, so seriously deadly weapon just at a base level. This also comes with Ambush, incredibly solid sight. We have Snapshot, aiming down sights is one of the best perks you can get on snipe rifles, and then we have Clown Cartridge, allowing you to reload and sometimes get 6 rounds in the magazine instead of the normal 5. And rounding us off, we have Firefly, getting a headshot kill causes the weapon to explode. Overall, actually a pretty decent perk. And so, very solid roll on this Bitter Edge. Consider getting this weapon. And lastly, we have a very interesting inclusion, the Unto Dust 00 rocket launcher. This has an incredibly good anti-axis roll. Now what I mean by that is that it spawns with Field Scout. So you get one more round in capacity, obviously quite good. We then have Tripod, probably one of the better perks you can get on rocket launchers. And lastly, Cluster Bomb. It was recently discovered, and I did do a video on this, that Cluster Bomb does incredibly high damage to Axis, the final boss of the Wrath of the Machine, because all of the clusters explode and can damage multiple hitboxes at the same time, so the damage can just be phenomenal. In fact, even out-damaging the Dark Drinker Exotic Sword, which was previously thought of as the best weapon for damaging Axis. So really consider getting this Unto Dust 00 if you want to try these new Axis strategies. Now, moving on from there, however, we have the next faction vendor with the Future War Cult vendor. Overall, this is probably the most disappointing vendor this week. We have a pretty average waltz roll. Just wanted to quickly go over it. We have Snapshot and Extended Mag, which are okay. Small Bore is okay. And then lastly, Headseeker, which is actually quite good. This is an overall fair roll that if you want this type of pulse rifle, maybe consider picking this up. However, last week we had the literal God roll, so it does feel a little bit depressing going over this week's waltz roll. Now, after that, we have a pretty decent Warpath. We have Hard Launch, one of the better perks you can get. After that, we have Flared Magwell, actually pretty decent. Heavy Payload, literally getting to the blast radius maximum at that point. And lastly, Grenades and Horseshoes, which again is a solid rocket launcher perk. And moving on from there, the last faction vendor we're going over today is the new Monarchy faction vendor. There is some decent weapons for sale this week. Firstly, we have the Impeacher 5 hand cannon. We have some very good perks actually. We've got firstly Flared Magwell, allowing you to reload this weapon faster. We have Hand Loaded, increasing the range, one of the best perks you can get on sidearms. And lastly, we have Reactive Reload, again increasing that damage. And yes, Flared Magwell plus Reactive Reload is a wombo combo, so definitely be on the lookout for this sidearm as well. Moving on from there, we have a pretty solid roll on the Deposition Snipe Rifle. We've got a great sight with the Short Gaze SLH-10. Moving on from there, we've got Skip Rounds and Lightweight both okay, but rounding everything off, Triple Tap, very good perk, allowing you to really get more DPS in PvE. If you're shooting a boss, you can very easily get those 3 rapid precision kills, get a round back, and have essentially 5 rounds in a magazine. And rounding everything off, we have Hidden Hand, increasing the aim assist. Very good with snipe rifles. So one of the best perks with Short Gaze, Triple Tap, and Hidden Hand, very solid roll. And so guys, that is it for all of the best vendor rolls for this week. We had so many to go over, but I guess that's not a bad thing. There's a lot of good weapons available for sale right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny content similar to this and don't want to miss out on next week's episode of Best Vendor Roles, be sure to slap that subscribe button. But if you actually want to be notified of new uploads, be sure to press the bell beside subscribe. Now, if you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.